Hello everyone, this is Lioso from Matani.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at EverQuest Landmark, the first installment in the EverQuest Next line of games from Sony Online Entertainment. The game is essentially a higher-res Minecraft, complete with building, resource gathering, and exploration. Still in closed beta, the game has plenty of promise and some problems. If SOE can iron out these wrinkles, it may be a creative type's wonderland. First off, let's go over the gameplay of Landmark. The gameplay in Landmark can be divided into two separate categories. First is resource gathering and then building. Resource gathering is required for any building that you want to do later on. The process of running around and gathering can be a bit tedious, as the experience boils down to essentially holding down left click and then aiming your pickaxe in the right spot. If you wanted to build anything on the larger side, gathering the resources can be quite time consuming. However, there is some possibility in the future that the whole process may become more interesting, as the devs have mentioned adding sources of danger, whether it's a particularly nasty NPC or accidentally meandering off an unseen cliff and falling to your death. Now once you've gotten all your resources together that you're going to need, or at least as much as you can stand to gather, you can build, and boy you can build. Landmark sets you up with 6 fairly basic tools. You have a tool to place materials, a selection tool, a painting tool, and along with a few others. Although each tool individually is fairly simple, things really get interesting is when you start combining the tools together. An example of this was my quest to make a curve. I was aiming to make a circular tower, but this proved difficult. After an hour or so of trying various processes, I had gotten no closer to reaching my goal. I eventually surrendered to just looking it up on Google, and in the end involved using both the smoothing tool and the selection tool. I won't go into the specifics, but the whole experience of struggling and then finally succeeding was very satisfying. Now that I've ironed out what the basic gameplay boils down to, let's go over some of the appeals of the game. First of all, as I mentioned before, the main appeal is building. Given the fact that you have to gather all the materials you plan to use, makes the end result much more rewarding. The next appeal are the visuals. Put simply, this game is pretty. Very pretty. The art style is very appealing to the eye, and the landscapes around you are varied and beautiful. However, the aesthetics are a bit hampered by the frame rate being a bit unstable when you move around with any amount of speed. The last thing that's great about this game is that you can earn money. Yes, actual money. Landmark has the benefit of being included in SOE's Player Studio program, which allows players to create in-game art assets and then earn royalties when other players buy a copy of it from SOE. In Landmark's case, you can sell the objects that you build in-game and then list them on the exchange, and then earn their money when other players buy them. And now for the problems. First of all is the game's performance. This game has some unrealistic expectations on what sort of hardware gamers have at their disposal. The frame rate frequently stutters, even on higher end machine. Even on the lowest video settings, the frame rate will still stutter every so often when you move around. This makes me think that there's some sort of resource optimization problem that SOE still has to deal with. And finally, related to the performance is the stability. The game can be a bit touchy and will crash from time to time. One problem I faced whenever I Alt-tabbed to turn on my recording software, for instance, Landmark would become unresponsive when I switched back. These problems aside, Landmark has a great deal of promise and is a lot of fun to mess around with. Half of the joy of the game is figuring out how to build the sorts of things you thought to be impossible. As the game is still in closed beta, you have to buy an access pack in order to play. These are relatively cheap, and if you enjoyed Minecraft, it's a solid buy. However, if you're still on the fence on whether you enjoy it or not, I'd wait till open beta, where it'll at least be free. Well, that's our preview for Landmark. If you enjoyed what you saw, be sure to subscribe and head over to thematani.com for more videos and articles.